I'm gonna be a menace to society. Okay. And when I say society, I mean myself. I have been gone for so long, a lot of you probably don't know me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Today we're gonna be talking about, well, let me show the video. It follows. So, why did I choose to do this video? Actually, it's very, very funny that you asked, because the only reason why I decided to do this video was because this was the first movie that I watched of this year. That's it. That's literally it. I think I watched this on January 3rd. That's a very big lie. I actually don't remember when I watched this, but all I can say is I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and that's all I said. So I like to start off with something that I found very interesting, because the opening says, well, the poster, I don't know if this poster is even made by the creator, which is David, but it says, it doesn't think, it doesn't feel, it doesn't give up, it follows. The think part, I feel like, is a little bit of a contradiction to the movie, but I'm still gonna eat it up anyway. We're first starting off with our main character. Her name is Jay. Jay is 19 years old. She is living in this, like, the definition of a corn town. I live in a corn town, so I can say it, but it was, like, literally a definition of a corn town. There's nobody around, nothing going on, okay? She's 19. She's pretty lonely. I mean, she has friends around her. She has her she has her mom. She doesn't have all of her parents. Okay, that's a little dark. She has her mom, she has her sister, and she has two friends. I'll show them. I don't know their names. This is a little rough. This is my first video back, guys, okay? This is my first video back. Does their names necessarily matter? No. That's Paul, though. I do remember his name. That's Paul. You know what? Let me be a good YouTuber and figure out what her name is, okay? I think her name's Yara. Okay, yeah. So we have Yara and Paul in this little photo here. So cute. And she lives a pretty, like I said, like, regular, I don't do anything with my life type of storyline. I'm not even sure if she goes to college. They never say. But anyway, she meets this really, really cute guy, and she ends up going on a date with him. And they've been dating for a little bit, and they end up going to the movies on a date that she hopes to never forget, which I don't think she ever will. His name is Hugh, and the date ends up going really well, that they end up doing a little bit of some naughty stuff in the car, okay? All of a sudden, Hugh tells her that he just put a disease in her that basically makes her be followed by this demonic-like creature that will basically kill you if it touches you, and, like, does weird stuff to you, and then you end up, like, dying really tragically. And the only way to get rid of it is by passing it on to somebody else, and it is sexually transmitted. So you could, yeah. So yeah. This movie caught me in a very much of a whirlwind. I knew what it was about, and I knew that she got the disease transmitted in that sort of situation. I just did not expect anything else from this movie. Everything else that happened in this movie was a complete and utter shock to me, and to this day I am still questioning what I watched and what I experienced. It was an experience. When I finished watching this movie, I had three ideas that I could talk about. And so we're going to be exploring those three ideas. And the first one is, so this is what Katy Perry was talking about. And if you know, you know. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. And I like to call this the woohoo effect, which is the term that the Sims game uses when they imply something. Look it up, you will know. Okay, so there was a lot of things implied in this movie, and let me just say, one of the things I wasn't expecting was, because I knew this is how it was transmitted to other people. I just wasn't expecting it to be shown as much as it was shown in this film. And it honestly caught me off guard a little bit, because it was so necessary, but it caught me so off. Like, it just never felt, I know it was never comfortable. And I think that's the point. Like, it was supposed to be disturbing. It was supposed to be uncomfortable. It was supposed to be something where you're looking at it and you're just like, This isn't even for entertainment. This is purely just for like causing me to have nightmares at night, and for a traumatic moment to happen the very next day, and for just everything to just be super overwhelming and nothing makes sense. But anyway, I didn't really have a lot to say about it because I knew that to prior information that you have on a lot of horror films that you've probably watched, like I have in the past, that sex with teenagers is just, or sex in general is just, in these types of horror films, is just something that is bad. It just means you are bad, you're gonna die. And usually if they do have that and they're not a virgin anymore or whatever, you die in the movie. That's just how it is. It's pretty much the same thing in this, just exclusively for teens. And it usually is exclusively for teens, but you get my point. So I actually had a different agenda. Like, I was trying to figure out why that was even a thing. And this is the first thing I came across, okay? I'm gonna read it to you. It's probably not gonna make a lot of sense. I just think it's funny, and we're gonna talk about it, okay? So I went on Reddit. And after that, I knew I was gonna get some good content, because right here, I covered their names, but 6 years ago, they're specifically talking about It Follows. And the question was asked, the question I just asked, why is sex such a huge thing in horror films? That question was asked, and this is what people said, okay? Just two. Spitballing here. But do you think it's a tactic used to ground the events of a horror movie into a person's own experiences? I know it's cheap stereotypes, but that's kind of genius. We all knew a dumb jock, a smutty teen, a stoner burnout. That's me. A quiet but kind of hot nerdy girl. These broad shoulders, these bored strokes make the characters pretty universally relatable. To which somebody replied, dude, let me tell you something. There is nothing that will ever happen in the rest of our lives that is as important as what's going on right here, right now in high school. I read that, and you know that expression of like when something bad happens that you just need to go outside and like smoke or something. By the way, I'm sober in every way possible. I'm sober, but I just felt like a brain cell. I don't know. I love these guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I freaking love these guys. They're so funny. And no, I hope you don't peak in high school. I hope you have more. I hope you don't think high school is as good as it gets and you learn everything you need to learn in high school. Your brain doesn't even grow fully until 25, so I hope you don't. But that is what they were saying. But when I looked further down into the Reddit conversation, there was actually a really interesting point that was brought up. And it was the fact that they said that teenagers are specifically used in horror movies because of their age. And they went on to this whole entire PowerPoint, like bullet point conversation, and I did not read it all. But one thing I will have to say is that for this movie specifically, I think age plays such a specific role, and it doesn't not even have to do with the stereotype of like kids dying because they're having sex. I actually think that a lot of the decisions that was made and written in the film was very, very smart for these characters, and it would have only worked if they were teenagers. I even like the fact that they are around the age of 17 to 19. I think it makes so much sense for these characters. If they were any younger, I would actually think it's a little absurd. So I really, really do like that, and I think it has a lot to play with a lot of the movie. But then again, I went further in because I was like, that did not tell me or answer any of my questions. So then I found this article written by Beth Younger. It's an article from The Conversation, and I'm not gonna go fully into it. I don't really feel like I need to read it all, because if you want to, you can. But basically, one of the things that I took from this that I really did like was, because this is something I never considered, but it said that she found, one of the critics said, this is her thought process, okay? That they make a very intriguing case about It Follows, actually critiquing culture by highlighting the trauma of how survivors are often treated by culture, friends, and family. I really liked that because I didn't ever really consider this to be an indirect connection to culture. But the reason why I think this is actually a very interesting case and a very interesting point is because I am starting to realize when I look back in the movie, there was a lot of like moments, especially when she gets literally, I don't know what you call this, but like messed up. And when he takes her and he ties her up and puts her in that garage, that parking garage, to see the thing that's following her, and then leaving her at the side of the road. Of course, you leave her at the side of the road with no clothes on. All you can think is, oh my gosh. Like, as a best friend, all you could think, if you didn't know what happened, especially, all you could think in your mind is, oh my gosh, what happened to you? Like, what actually happened to you? You don't even have clothes on. And I think having that, because in a way, like, it wasn't just intercourse. It was putting a curse on her. It was unknown information. It's like giving somebody an STD. It's like giving somebody HIV. It's like giving somebody chlamydia, a yeast infection. I don't even know if you can get that through that, but you get what I mean. Like, it's literally as if you're getting misinformation about it all. It's like you're so in the dark. It's like you're blind from the situation. And I think that this specific story does really well. I think that's so interesting. And I think that critic sort of nailed it on the money. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say it's that type of culture, but I would say like different diseases and different things you could get from doing that. I think it fits the nose. I think it's right on there. And I'm like, okay, we're on to something. Moving on to number 2. Again, sorry, the photo's not here and I'm not going to change it. Oh, sue me. But I said the Grim Reaper effect, aka Daddy's home. It means death is coming knocking at your door. What do you do? That's what it freaking means. And state of mind, I thought we should explore some of the monsters that we saw. Starting off with number 1, Grandma. Okay, Grandma, what are you doing here? Oh my gosh, that lady was scary. That lady was so scary. We love her though. We love her. Not really, but you know what? I wouldn't want to see her. So then, wait, he's tall. He's kind of tall. Like, now did he scare the living frick out of me? Yes. Oh my gosh, I was terrified. Well, why is he so tall though? Like, who's the actor? Like, you know, who is he? Moving on. So the picture is gone. But it was Paul. And it was Paul. So scary. Hopefully I can get a video up. It was Paul, literally so scary. And then everybody else was undressed. So I can't show them. I'm so sorry. All of them were naked, so I couldn't show them. Then I found this really interesting... How do I describe this? It's I don't know if this was made by anyone who made the film, but it was basically just a little analog of everything you need to know about the monster, made by some guy named Benjamin. I found it on Reddit. I know, sue me. I'm not going to get into all of it, but I'll tell you a little bit of what I know. It says the unknown origins, the traumatic forms, and then any means available. And then it has this like little thing where it says, wherever you are, it's somewhere walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it on to someone else. And then it has, the creature has some rules. It can form into people you know. It can form to people that you don't know, people you've seen before, or, you know, nobody. It can also, it walks when it hunts the victims. It's pretty slow because it's walking, but that's also scary because it knows that it doesn't have to run. Like, it doesn't have to do that much, you know? Okay, Something very interesting, though, is that even though it does walk to you, it actually doesn't chase you, because sometimes it will be gone for months on end, and then, like, it will show up super randomly. That's so scary. Like, it just knows. It knows it doesn't gotta do that much, and that's so scary. A monster that knows it does not have to do that much to get you is terrifying, which is why I think Greg's death is honestly probably the scariest. I'll get into Greg a little bit for right now. Greg is basically the guy who pops up and becomes a part of the little crew. He helps Jay by basically making her transmit the disease onto him. I think he has other agendas in his mind, and I think that he thinks she's a little crazy, and he's like, well, at least I get some, you know. She might be a little crazy, but she's hot, and I get some. But then the disease really did transfer to him. But I think the monster generally thought, like, this guy's so dumb. Like, I don't have to work to actually attack him. Like, I'm not gonna show up at his door for, like, what, 3 months, a month, 2, it doesn't even matter. And then by the time I show up to his door, I swear I won't even have to do anything. Like, he'll be dead in a day. And he was, which was so crazy, because I thought Greg, like, I don't know, it was pretty early in the movie, but I thought he was gonna do way more than what he did. But that mofo ended up dying so quick. And the monster knew. If the monster had any idea that he would have more of a fighting chance with him, I bet he thought to himself, yeah, I'll probably see him as soon as he gets, you know, like, if I think that you're actually a little hard, I'm like, you know what? I won't wait. I'll like, you know. But if you're that easy, oh no, like, I'll take a break. I'll come back in like 3 months, and then I'll just knock at your door and you'll open it. It's like, have you not been there for the whole movie? And I know it's because you think she was crazy. I know. But when you have 3 other people attesting to the fact that when they were at the freaking beach, one of them got thrown across the freaking sand and got all of those scratch marks all over him, and now all of the girls saw the hair being pulled off of her freaking head, you didn't think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't open that door. Maybe I should consider the situation I'm in and all of the advice that they're saying. Maybe I should take just maybe, because when I called my mom and said, Mom, why are you banging on my door? And she didn't answer you. Maybe for a second, maybe just for a monetary second, Greg, you should have thought to yourself, oh my gosh, she's not answering because she's the monster. Unless she's deaf, but I really doubt she's deaf. Because then why would you be even calling for her in the first place? So I did have to just get that off of my chest really quick. I'm so sorry. It really got to me. That really got to me. So the entity doesn't require air, food, drinks, or sleep. So they say. Okay, so unlike humans, it doesn't tire, never gets tired to walk. Yeah, okay, I think that's it. But if you want to find this, it's on Reddit. It's by Benjamin. It's this whole thing. It looks like this, except I just kind of cropped it around a little bit so I could read it a little bit closer to my face. But that's it. So really good, really good. Overall, this film. So before I get to overall, I do want to tell you how it ends. The film ends with Jay and the remainder of her friends. Okay? Paul, her sister, and we just knew Yara. They all go to this big high school pool, and basically their goal is to get the monster in the water, so that when the monster's in the water, they can throw all of these plugged electronic items into the pool, so like fans, microwaves, hair dryers, all of that, TVs, etc., to hopefully electrocute the monster and kill it. That's the plan. So Jay goes into the middle of the pool, and as the monster walks up, he starts just throwing the electronics into the pool. When I tell you I laughed so loud, I was like, how can this thing not think but it knows to throw the electronics in the freaking pool? Who knows? But anyway, he was throwing all of those things into the pool. It was crazy. And then I did like this too. When they poured, I don't know if it was paint or something, but they poured something on him. You could actually see the figure. So it was definitely real. It's not just a trick of your, it is a trick of her brain, but it's also deeper than that. Like, it's actually something walking. It's like an entity. Clearly. Freaking clearly. But like, it's actually, you know? So when they pour that thing on them, they see him. And so then Paul pulls out his gun. Don't know where they got the gun. Shoots him. He gets into the pool. He's drowning. And Jay immediately tries to rush out of that freaking pool. Somehow she does not die from any of the electronics, but that's probably because the pool is so big. But anyway, she's running to the edge of the pool. She's swimming. And he catches her freaking leg, pulls her down. She comes up for air, and she's getting out of the pool. And then they shoot him a couple of times, and he is dead. And there's blood everywhere. It's so cryptic. And then it ends with her and Paul doing the dirty. And then, so now Paul has the disease, if even, because it's dead. But if he does, it's in him. And now they're going through it together. And now they're a couple. And that's the end. So I know, a little crazy. But yeah, okay. We're moving on. These aren't ideas that I had, but these are like deeper ideas of the existing ideas that I did have that I did want to explore. One of them is family trauma / the lack of fatherhood. I didn't realize this, but throughout the whole entire movie, there are a lack of adults just in general. And I love that. Like, I love that. And I'm going to talk about that in another point because I explored a little bit further in a different point that I have. But let's talk about the family trauma. A lot of it. In fact, the monster that I was just talking about that was like throwing electronics into the pool was Jay's father, which is crazy. Which is actually crazy. And she says a line that's super iconic. She's like, the sister asks, who is it? Jay. Who do you see? And she goes,
what do you see?
I don't want to tell you.
I don't want to tell you.
I don't want to say. And it's such an iconic line when you figure out that that's her father at the end of the movie. It's just so good. I love it so freaking much. But also, this isn't Hugh. This is, Greg. Greg also doesn't have a father. I don't know where his father is. I don't know if they've ever said, but he also doesn't have a father. He just has a very weird mother. I don't know if she's an alcoholic or if she's on drugs. I don't know, but she seems very not in his life. But they both don't have fathers. And why I think that's very interesting is because there's just a lack of masculinity in this film. And it's very interesting because you don't see a lot of films like that. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it really affects the film in any way because there's still Paul and I already forgot his name. There's still Greg. But I think that both of them having a lack of that definitely encouraged a lot of the reasons. I don't want to put words in my mouth. Never mind. But family trauma seems to be a huge play in these two characters specifically and the sister, but also like just everywhere. Like, I don't know. I just found it really interesting how even though that doesn't play I find it interesting that plays a huge part in both of their experiences with the monster, because obviously the mom's effed up, yes, but I think a lot of I'd love a whole movie about Greg. I said it because his character is generally so interesting. I need to know more about it. And I hate that I never will. People who have family trauma I have some myself, will end up going for people who they find familiar or who brings comfort towards a situation that's probably already bad. I'm not saying that she got manipulated by Hugh because of that, but I'm saying that that probably definitely has some effects of to why. Plus, the mother was also sort of absent for her too, and for her sister. I barely ever saw her there. I don't think she was in a single scene. Actually, no, she was. I think she was in a scene when she got out of the pool. Yes. After that, you never see her ever again. I don't know why, but it is crazy how absent these parents are, which brings me to my next point: manipulation. Manipulation also has a really huge point to play in this. I think it has a point to play with psychosis, making her feel crazy, even though when the paint drops over the entity, it's shown that it's very, very real, but it's like because the person who has the disease is the only person who can see the thing that follows it. It's like you think you're going insane. Like, it literally is psychosis, and it's huge manipulation tactic on the monster's part. Good for that. I mean, no. Another manipulation tactic that was used was from Hugh, who isn't Hugh. I think his name is actually, Jeff, or no. Sorry. His fake name was Jeff. His real name is Hugh. But Hugh manipulated the frick out of her, saying that his name was Jeff, giving a whole entire fake identity. This girl had to hunt you down at your freaking school. At the freaking school you went at, that you already passed 2 of the diseases over twice. He goes into this house, this abandoned house, lives there to pry on her specifically. When I tell you this has to have something to do with trauma, it has to. How do you not catch those flags? Oh my gosh. And they go in the house and they notice that there's a bunch of bottles everywhere. This happens like in the middle of the freaking movie. And the bottles are for when you hear the thing that follows you. It basically can track the sound. Because again, it can make noise, it can bang on doors and stuff. I mean, you're the only person who can hear it, but you can hear when it moves or opens things and stuff. And so he used that as a tactic to know if the thing that follows him is close. Which they start implying too, and they start putting, like, you know, chairs under doors and stuff, and all doorknobs and all of that, and whatever. But oh my freaking goodness, the manipulation in this movie's crazy. I even think she gets manipulated by freaking I forgot his name again. You cannot even tell me that she doesn't get manipulated by Greg. You cannot tell me she doesn't get manipulated by Greg. I would not believe you if you tell me she doesn't get manipulated by Greg, because I don't generally think he believes her at all. So manipulation is also a huge part in this movie. I actually am so glad that she had people on her side, which brings me on to another point. A big point in this movie is the nobody understands me point, which, if you guys don't know what nobody understands me means, it's basically what teenagers say to their parents when it's like, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Like, you don't get my point of view because you're old. They'll use that a lot. They'll be like, you're old, so you just don't understand what I'm getting. You don't understand what I'm thinking towards. The nobody understands me trope is used very much in this film, and you can say that it's probably just because it was a low budget film and they didn't have what you could say whatever you want. I'm gonna say that the reason why it is a literal story where it does not show rarely any of the parents. It doesn't have any clear authority. You are in these kids' world, and that's it. No police, except for that one scene, but pretty much nothing. Nothing. It's because they use the nobody understands me trope. And I think it's the smartest thing to use ever, because it puts them in this bubble. And the bubble's big. The bubble is big. They go many different places, and the bubble is huge. But the fact that it's them against the world, they don't confide in anybody else. I like to call that the nobody understands me trope. It's like, it's us and nothing else. In fact, it's probably why the monster likes to prey on teenagers even more. It's because who's going to believe them, and who are they going to confide in? And their parents are going to be worried. It's not like they're going to be homeless. Well, maybe, but I don't know. I think that's really good, and I can't fully get into all of the reasons why, but I just think that's super good. And then obviously the final and probably the most important point is time is never on our side. I love this point so much. Time is never on our side basically means the world keeps moving whether you like it or not. Death will come knocking at your door no matter if you like it or not. Every single day you get older, every day you wake up, you're dying. Your body's physically dying every single day. Just a little bit. Not enough to where it kills you automatically. Like you can live up to 90, 100 if you want, if you're healthy, if you're good enough, but there's still gonna be a day. It just might not be today. I love the little instances of them locking the door the way they did. I like the little instances of the knocking. Oh my gosh, I wish they used elements of time. I wish they used clocks too. I think that would have been amazing, but the knocking was amazing, which is why I used the Grim Reaper thing, because I just, but I think that was all so good and so well executed. I truly think I don't know if this is necessarily independent, but I do know for a low budget film of only $1 million, you're good. Like, I'd be proud to make this film. Like, David, I think, like I said, I think the overall, I'd like to say, besides the sexual implications, I think overall, my goodness, does death come. And I love the fact that it's using teenagers too. And I bring another point up, like, death can come knocking at your door at any time. Just because you're young does not mean that it's not gonna come knocking at your door. So yes, they're gonna end up together, because cherish the relationships you have. Cherish the friends that you have. For whatever family that's still near you, cherish them. I love this ending because it makes a point where it's like, you can have nothing else in the world, but if you died that day, did you die knowing you loved all your family, telling them that you love them, telling them that you miss them, whatever. I love that point. And I love that point even more that it's shown in teenagers, because teenagers don't have a lot. They're still kids. They don't have a lot. So if the only thing they can offer is the love, amazing. I think the ending of this is my rating. But before I get into my rating, best scene by far is the opening scene. I love the opening scene. Besides, like, the tall man scene and the old lady scene, those are both really good scenes. But the opening scene of you never seeing what the monster looks like or any context of anything, and you're just following Annie as she's literally being chased by this freaking monster. And I even like the fact that Annie has a dad. Can we talk about that? I think that's such an interesting element that might not be important at all, but to me, the fact that nobody else has a clear defining dad in the movie besides Annie, and her calling her dad and telling him I love you, I just feel like that's such a good correlation to these people that it's just perfect. I think it's perfect. I love it so freaking much. I love it. Annie's scene was literally it's so good. It's so good. That opening scene is so good. It's so suspenseful. It's everything I like. Oh my gosh, amazing. Overall, I would give this movie a 4 out of 5 stars. Yes. Now, I will say, if this movie was made by like a bigger company and had a bigger budget, maybe my rating would be a little bit lower, because there are a lot of things that I would have loved to explore. Like I said, Greg's story, I would have loved to explore. And I know that I know I feel like you get enough of Hugh's story, but I'd take more of that too. I'd take more of his family dynamic before he even got here. I'd love to see sequels of the victims before. Like, that would be so interesting to me. I just would. I think more information about the monster, about how all of that works, more rules. I've seen that a lot when I was like reading reviews from Red Tomatoes. What is it? Tomatoers? Rotten Tomatoes. I'm so stupid. But I saw a lot of that when a lot of people were talking about that in Rotten Tomatoes, and I do agree. I can understand why a lot of people would want more context there. I personally think for a $1 million budget and probably time moving like this, like we just gotta get it done, you know what I mean? Also, I do believe that there could have been more not so still scenes, but I think, like I said, because they're teenagers, I think it works, you know? They're probably they're teenagers. They clearly don't have jobs if they can just be locking themselves in rooms for hours. They don't have money probably, you know? And I will have to mention this, the fear of water. That was one thing that we learned at the end of the movie, that the one weakness that monster has is water. And he realizes that Jay is a hard competitor. So he gets rid of her pool. She has a little pool in the back of her yard. He gets rid of it. I really like that small little detail. There was a bunch of small little details like that I generally love. And again, so good for what it worked with. I don't care what anybody else says. 4 out of 5, amazing film. Love it. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. This is my first video back, and I'm so excited to be back. And I promise I will be posting so much more often, once a week at most. Life happens, things get weird, but I'm glad to be back. Okay,